Welcome to the Little Bighorn Treasure Hunting Sources 83. I'm going to call this video The Only Chance to Remain a Man. The native Indian men grew up with a hunter-warrior lifestyle from youth. After simple camp chores were completed, the young men would go to the woods and learn from nature using bow and arrow. And by age 6 or 7 years old, they were presented with a stone war club to always be carried with them at all times, either from their father or their grandfather or maybe even an uncle. They learned to ride very young and participated in raiding parties from 13 to 14 years old, mainly as horse holders, but sometimes they also fought, like Sitting Bull's first kill at 14 years of age. The four virtues most important to American Indians of the Northern Plains were bravery, fortitude, generosity, which meant providing game for all in need, and security for their tribe. The fourth was wisdom, and leadership came with that. After being chased all over after the battle of the Little Bighorn, they were run all over the Great Sioux Reservation given to the Indians in 1868 with the Fort Laramie Treaty. The U.S. government was trying for revenge from the Battle of the Little Bighorn. Generals Crook, General Terry, Colonel Miles, who shortly became general also. They chased the Indians all over the Powder River country and found the need for Indian scouts from the warriors who fought Custer at the Little Bighorn. Of those Indians who had surrendered, they would need to farm, which was commonly a degrading lifestyle, receive food rations and annuities. Much of the rations were poor quality and tainted and in short supply. Most importantly, the warriors had to give up their horses and guns, the most important two items to provide for and protect the families and tribes. A choice was given: hand in your horse and guns, dig in the dirt, take our meager handouts, or be a man and be a scout. If you turn on your people and lead us to their campsites, we will allow you to keep your captured soldiers' weapons and have a horse. Well, here was the choice: an agricultural life, which was unnatural for them, or enlist as a scout to hunt down the people who they lived and fought with in many battles. I say to you, survival for them was to be able to hunt the diminishing wildlife and have a horse in which to pack the meat and hides out to feed the many starving on the reservations. Since 1868, more than half of the Plains Indians moved to reservations and slowly began to starve. Government suppliers were crooked and evil in how the reservation Indians were treated. So many great warriors enlisted as scouts when they surrendered and kept their Little Bighorn guns. When the Cheyenne War Chief Two Moon surrendered April 20th through 26, 1877, 35 Cheyenne enlisted as scouts, including Two Moon and the great Sub-Chief Eyes. When Crazy Horse surrendered September 5th, 1877, he turned in a Sharps carbine, serial number 67035. He did not turn in the 1873 Springfield trapdoor carbine, serial number 16632, that came from Company A soldier at the Little Bighorn. He also enlisted as a scout to keep his weapons, but was soon assassinated. In Bear Bird's history in the previous video, it states he enlisted as a scout to General Miles in 1880, but did not surrender with He Dog. But they allowed him to keep possession of the carbine, and that, of course, is the 43-560 that we talked about. Another 1873 Springfield carbine, serial number 36457. This carbine is not mine. It belongs to a wonderful couple I've known since the 1990s, and they have bought and sold many Indian artifacts in Montana for a long time. This carbine has a historical report from Ikacha-Kanku, many roads. And also in this, you will see the symbol for scout once again. and that's in video 16. It's not in Minnie Rhodes' report. This is what he has to say. This 1873 Springfield trapdoor carbine, serial number 36457, belonged to 2nd Lieutenant Benjamin Hubert Hodgkin, Company B, 7th Cavalry. He was killed by Afraid of Nothing, aka Fool's Bear, during the Valley fight at the ford at Little Bighorn. Fool's Bear took Hodgkin's carbine, watch, and revolver. The watch was later turned in to post commander of the Cheyenne River Agency, Lieutenant George P. Buell. Buell relayed the watch to General Carlin, commander of Standing Rock Reservation, and eventually the watch was returned to Hodgkin's family. The events were recorded by Bismarck Tribune on November 25, 1876, as follows. General Carlin informs us that he has received through Indians the watch belonging to Lieutenant B.J. Hodgkin, 7th Cavalry, and 2 other watches from Sitting Bull's camp. Description of the watches carried by officers and soldiers should be sent to General Carlin to the end that the other watches may be recognized. After the Battle of Little Bighorn, some of the Minneconjou and Sanark made concessions with General Nelson Miles to surrender at the Cheyenne River Agency. This group, including Fool's Bear, surrendered on October 26, 1876. Fool's Bear became a favorite scout of General Miles and was allowed to keep carbine serial number 36457. As an envoy sent by Miles in November 1876, Fool's Bear, an important man, tried to negotiate with Crazy Horse to surrender, but they could not convince Crazy Horse to listen. Fool's Bear belonged to the Wakpokinyan band, led by Sitting Bull and Four Horns. On this rifle, Fool's Bear placed the band mark of Sitting Bull in brass tacks on both sides of the stock, as shown on illustration 1. Fool's Bear also belonged to Touch the Clouds, Wakpokinyan band, who settled on the Cheyenne River Agency. Touch the Clouds band mark side on the right side of the stock, but the brass buttons were removed at some point, reason unknown. On the left side of the stock is Fool's Bear's mark in Togia, along with a version of his surrender. He also marked the rifle with battle marks for 3 important battles he participated in: Rosebud, Little Bighorn, Slim Buttes. See illustration 3. Fool's Bear lived the rest of his life on the Cheyenne River Reservation. At the surrender on September 5th, 1876, John Kopek wrote a letter about that states, "These records show the revolver, that's a Colt single action, serial number 4878, turned in by the Indian Foolish Bear." Now, many have called the Indian Scouts traitors to their people. Remember the 4 great virtues: bravery, fortitude, generosity, and wisdom. Now, what would you do if they were in their place and you saw your people starving? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. God bless. Talk to you next time. Bye.